You know, we live in a global economy. It's no longer a regional economy.
I mean, it's great hearing companies talk about how they've succeeded.
The internet is the great equalizer.
Even if they're not a technology company, people are talking about how to use technology to differentiate themselves or to give themselves a leg up against their competition.
Each of these companies found a problem in the marketplace that needed to be solved.
10 years ago, we had 4 empty warehouses in Tabor City. Either you adapt or you're going to find yourself out of business.
We've grown every year since I've been in business, since '03, right through the recession.
The companies that aren't doing that aren't on this list because they're not advancing themselves.
So what we do is we provide commercial and industrial coatings all across the nation.
But now instead of having one geographic footprint in North Carolina, it's allowed us to be in several other states, so we don't have to mobilize to these jobs to respond to our customers faster. So ultimately that'll allow us to have happier clients and a better bottom line.
You look at these companies and none of the members of the Roundtable are actually technology companies, but they all use technology to differentiate themselves from their competitors.
The young generation, the millennials, I think you refer to them as, they are used to going to their app on their telephone and ordering whatever, and it shows up the next day.
They were all talking about using technology in some way to advance themselves, to differentiate themselves.
I think even at DMA, we're faced with that. And how do you sell your product to the customer and meet the end need of the product that you're trying to import or produce and sell to the customer?
One of our customers basically came to us and wanted to go to robotics, and as opposed to it costing them jobs as they've installed, we're now working on our 6th cell for them. It's neat to see the expansion, so no one's lost a job despite I think we've installed probably over 20 robots in their plant.
A good portion of the discussion was on the need for good quality employees, and then how we, once you have them, how do you retain them?
So let me ask y'all, how do you deal with that? Do you work with your education systems, or do you work with your local leaders? Do you work with your community colleges?
We try to really incentivize our employees to take care of themselves. We try to give them good benefits.
And the move to robotics and automation is as inevitable as the move to the horseless carriage from the horse, but it's going to happen, and it's best for workers to get skills and be a part of it.
Everybody honed in on finding the right people as being their biggest opportunity and challenge, if you will.
Whether it was a great sales team that was leading the charge, the technicians that they had, or just the executive management teams within the businesses.
I think I have a bias towards at least people, maybe just not my management team, but a bias towards people who have a competitive spirit.
I got to find the quote, hire for attitude, train for aptitude.
We're loaded with millennials. They are passionate about helping people. They're still, they haven't lived to be my age yet, and so they have this glorious outlook on life and helping people, and that's great in the service industry. I mean, that's what we need to have.
The biggest struggle that I see is skilled labor and management. And that's probably our biggest problem, and I think it's a statewide and countrywide epidemic, is the skilled labor.
Unfortunately for painting, there is no skilled trade program in any community college, and typically the painters are always going to be taught in the field. And one thing that we're talking about doing is a train-the-trainer program, so our foremans are being trained on how to train.
Every single person there was looking for the same thing, whether it's work ethic, integrity, just having the right attitude. I think that was kind of what bound them together.
But everyone's talking about, instead of how to gain revenue, how to grow revenue, it's how to manage their growth.
For DMA, the question is how do we handle all the opportunities that come our way?
I mean, one of the companies is southeastern North Carolina, which is among the poorest parts of the state. You've got a company going in there and creating jobs, creating good jobs, taking advantage of a need in the marketplace. And they're making money hand over fist in a small town that needs jobs, in an area of our state that needs these jobs. When you think about a friendly regulatory environment, you've got it now. Pretty much every industry is in a friendlier regulatory environment than they were a year ago.
Basically, like was said earlier, between real estate and construction, there's so much money that developers have to build the infrastructure of Class A office space. We're seeing a lot of high schools.
I mean, what we're witnessing First half of this year versus first half of last year, a 42% increase in the volume of M&A deals for mid-sized companies. And so you've got companies that have money to burn and money to spend and money to invest and money to use in acquisitions. You know, there's 1.6 trillion sitting on the sidelines of the S&P 500, just cash waiting to be spent. You think of private equity funds, there's 900 billion sitting in private equity funds in cash. So the money is there, the engine is starting to rev up.
But I think the same thing, you know, we're all concerned about over-regulation, we're all concerned about the political scene and the uncertainty that affects us.
Take the politics aside, whichever side of the fence, he needs to get Congress working with him in some form or fashion.
You always have to be innovative. You always have to determine what the niche is, and you have to figure out how you're going to fill that niche. And that's how you survive in the modern business world.
And if you do that, there's plenty of business opportunity out there.